What's up, guys, and welcome back to 8 Count. Today we're going to be talking about Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury, what I think is going to happen, and whether this fight will go ahead. Let's get straight into it. Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. The trilogy. And I mean trilogy in the sense of the trilogy of whether this fight will actually happen. The venue is Dubai. The date has been set. It was announced less than a month before the actual fight date. And I'm trying to figure out what the method was behind that. Because obviously it's a fight that, yes, I think it will sell. Purely because of how much this fight has been building up. The anticipation, just like the back and forth that these two have had. Not only with just them two, but with Tommy Fury's dad and also Jake Paul. It's just been like a non-stop grudge for a couple years now. But will it actually happen, guys? What do you think? Because Tommy Fury has been known to duck this fight. And I say duck this fight, but have those reasons been because of his fault, or have they been just it's just been unlucky, right? Like something that's just a coincidence. So I know the first time he pulled out because he had a rib injury. Obviously prior to that call out for the rib injury, we saw Tyson Fury training Tommy, and he was getting there was a lot of, I can't remember the exact thing that was happening, but I remember there was a training video and Tyson Fury had like the medicine balls, and he was just throwing it down on Tommy Fury's ribs, and obviously that's in preparation for the body shots that they were expecting to come out of Jake Paul. But obviously that was the first fight, and he did produce x-rays, but obviously anything could be done nowadays through money and social media, so we don't know whether that was a real pullout, or whether he just wasn't ready for the fight. And the second one was due to Tommy Fury not being allowed access into America, and that comes down to the Fury name, obviously their background, their links to certain people, etc., and that meant that Tommy Fury wasn't allowed in the country. So with that being said, Jake Paul again pushed his agenda on social media and was like, Tommy fumbles, Tommy Fury's ducking the fight, all of these reasons, and obviously given his side of things. And obviously Jake Paul's a very loud character when it comes to social media and getting his view across to the people. So you can only imagine what it felt like for Tommy Fury, the actual boxer, the person who's carrying the name of Fury, obviously seeing his brother do so well against the likes of Deontay Wilder, now being the champion, and obviously one belt away from holding everything. So obviously there's a lot of pressure for Tommy Fury. He's fighting the influencer, he's fighting the person that everyone's saying that should be an easy fight, and if you're the real boxer, you should be able to deal with him, whether you have a day's notice, a week's notice, or a month's notice, let alone a full camp. But people have started to think, is this fight more close than people think? Because you've got to think about it. Jake Paul came from a YouTubing background. We saw him fight Deji, the person who's been closest to beating Jake Paul. Yes, that sounds crazy now that you talk about it. But I think the only thing that Deji did in that fight was he put Jake Paul on the back foot. And obviously Jake Paul didn't have training. That was their first fight. So you can't really say Jake Paul's beatable. Look at the first fight. Yes, he might be beatable. Yes, he probably is beatable. But just because we watched him in the Deji fight and Deji broke his nose or whatever it was and made him bleed, it doesn't mean that Jake Paul is a bad fighter. And that's been evident from his most recent fights. He's fought the likes of Anderson Silva, and that's the best I've seen Jake Paul. We saw him throwing combos, we saw him moving, we saw him going toe-to-toe with someone who's supposed to be a very good combat sports specialist, especially in the sport of boxing. We've seen we've seen Anderson Silva fight before, and he's done quite good. We also saw him fight Tyron Woodley, and although the first fight was bore fest and went the distance, we also saw someone in Jake Paul who went the distance, and he was able to go to the distance. Although he didn't look great in the first fight, the second fight we saw him do a lot better, and we saw him finish off Tyron Woodley. And I think that's also why people have a lot of fears for KSI. He hasn't been tested in the realm of a combat sports fighter like Jake Paul has. And I think that's what we're going to be seeing with KSI's next fight. But going back to Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, we haven't really seen Tommy Fury fight anyone at the caliber of something which may push him, you know? We've seen him fight journeymen, people with X amount of losses and like a surplus of 50 plus losses and the win record of about less than 5. So with that being said, is it something where Tommy Fury doubts himself? Is it something where Tommy Fury doesn't believe in himself? Or that he has been ready and he does believe he can do this and he just been unlucky with how things have turned out? We know that this month that he has him and his girlfriend have got a little baby, and has that affected his mentality going into the fight? Is that the reason why Jake Paul's giving him the fight now, knowing that he wouldn't be able to fully train or wouldn't be able to fully focus on, you know, preparation for this fight, and therefore gives him more of an upper hand? I don't know. I really don't know. I've always remained on the stance that I think Tommy Fury beats Jake Paul easily. Whether that goes the distance or whether that's by knockout. I know we haven't seen Tommy Fury knock anyone out, and people call him pillow hands and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the man can punch. The man knows how to throw a jab. The man knows how to double jab. The man knows how to do the boxing fundamentals, and he knows how to win fights. We've seen it previously, and will we see it again? We'll have to wait until, I believe it's the 24th of Feb. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's that date. Jake Paul, obviously, he has a lot more ability than we've seen before. Will I see him going the distance with Tommy Fury? No, I don't think so. I think his stamina isn't his strong point, but I believe that his knockout power is his strong point. And I think that right hand is always available. We've seen it now. It can come early on. It can come later on. So it's something that Tommy Fury always has to look out for. Does Tommy Fury have the chin to withstand a Jake Paul punch? We have to wait and see. But guys, let me know what you guys think. Do you think this fight's actually going to go ahead? Obviously, another thing that I forgot to mention is Jake Paul has a backup fight already. So is that another thing that's in Jake Paul's mind, where he's having to train for 2 people now, just in case Tommy Fury does show up to the fight? Because we all know that he missed the press conference. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think if it does go ahead, I have Tommy Fury winning that. I did say knockout to one of my friends. But more realistically, if it's an 8-round fight, it could go the distance, because I know Tommy Fury can withstand the distance. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Does Jake Paul win this early? Does he win it by knockout? Does Tommy Fury win this early? Or does he win it by going the distance? I'll be looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.